Annyeonghaseyo and greetings, 8th graders. I apologize about any confusion that happened yesterday because of the PowerPoints. Hopefully now that they're uploaded to YouTube, that's not going to be a problem. I know a lot of you had trouble accessing yesterday's PowerPoint. A lot of you did not do the homework. Hopefully we can get back on track by today. So homework for today is going to be Study Island 4A and 4B. Some of you already did 4A, that's great, and there are some topics that I feel like I should explain a little bit more before we go on. Most of the grades were kind of low, like 80%, 70%, 60%. So let's talk about a few concepts that might have appeared in Study Island that may have given you some trouble. So the first concept that I saw a lot, this word kept coming up again and again, was inertia. So inertia is very much related to Newton's first law of motion. And we learned Newton's first law of motion last year. And Newton's first law of motion has to do with objects that are either at rest or moving. Okay, so objects at rest will tend to stay at rest. Objects in motion will tend to stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. So that's what inertia is. Basically, if something's moving in a certain way, it's going to keep moving that way. If it's not moving at all, it's not going to just start moving without any other force acting on it. So inertia really accounts for the way the planets move around the sun. So you have basically two forces that are kind of combining to give us what we call an elliptical orbit. And an ellipse is just basically it's a circle that gets sort of stretched out. So let's talk about elliptical orbits. So you have, on one hand, you have the sun, which is kind of in the center of our solar system, and then you have planets, which are orbiting around the sun. The sun, first of all, will pull on these planets with a tremendous amount of gravitational force. However, these planets also have kind of a velocity that's sideways to the sun, and that velocity combined with the sun's gravity changes the orbit into a stretched out circle. Now, it's possible to have an orbit that's a perfect circle, but you have to have like a lot of different things sort of perfectly matched up. You need to have sort of the perfect ratio of mass between the sun and the planet. They have to be the perfect mass, they have to be the perfect distance, and finally they have to be traveling, or the planet itself has to be traveling at the perfect velocity. And if all three of those things are Sorry, this camera's missing. If all three of those things are perfect, then you'll end up with a perfect circle. But more often than not, we end up with orbits that are sort of stretched out circles or ellipses. Lastly, the word crater appeared all the time. I realized that I haven't talked extensively about craters at all in class. Craters are just sort of impact scars from meteoroids that crash into the Earth. And so this is a crater in Arizona. And I don't know if you can see some of the roads that are outside of this crater. Let me see if I can highlight this for you. But I'm not sure if I'll be able to draw very well. But these are roads that cars travel on. And so this is just a tremendously big crater. This is a huge impact crater in Arizona. Craters are leftover remnants of asteroids that crash into planets and moons. The reason why we don't have a lot of craters on Earth is because of erosion. So rain, wind tend to sort of make these craters go away. Also, we have plate tectonics, so the plates of the Earth are constantly moving. So all of those things tend to make craters not stick around on the Earth, but in places like the moon where you don't have plate tectonics, you don't have an atmosphere, you don't have rain, those craters pretty much stay there forever. Anyways, these are three concepts that will help you navigate Study Island 4A. If you want to take another crack at it and you feel this information is helpful, go ahead. If you haven't done it, please make sure you do Study Island 4A. So let's quickly talk about homework. I would like you to, number one, go over your notes and get ready for the test tomorrow. The test is going to be 3 days long. It's going to be kind of a grind. Just make sure you're ready. Go over your notes, look over your notes, make sure you know your stuff. Next, I want you to do Study Island 4B, Sun and Moon, the Earth, in order to prepare for your test 2. This unit is going to be basically about eclipses and tides. Finally, if you haven't turned assignments in, please make sure they're turned in. There were 7 of you who did not turn in your unit summary, and that's worth 30 points, and all 7 of you are failing this class now because you didn't do that. Please make sure you do that. Please make sure you're caught up with your assignments. Like I said, this quarter we had lots of interruptions, so because of that, every assignment is worth that much more. Please make sure that you're finished with all of your assignments. If you have any questions, you can contact me during office hours from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. You can also send me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.